What's up, everybody? It's your boy Relentless, and I'm back after a long hiatus, and I bring you another build video. Let me tell you, things have changed quite dramatically on 1.8, 1.3 from when I left off. But you know, I've been back for the last couple days grinding out the DZ. You've probably seen the live streams that's happened over the last few days. Stay tuned and look forward for that. At least I'd say 5 times out of a week. Probably like a Monday through Friday thing, anywhere between around 3 to 5 o'clock East Coast time. So tune into that. But today I bring you a build video, and I hear a lot of people saying that this is like some kind of cheese. It's pathetic. But let's all be completely honest with each other. Every build has a gimmick, a cheese that some people would call it. And you just gotta use that, but there's counters to everything about it. And this build is just more of a little distraction, but it can put some damage out and also help your teammates. And it is best incorporated in a group play with a healer, a designated healer like a reclaimer, and then it is very beastly. But without further ado, let's hop right into it. Yes, as you can see, it's the infamous D3FNC. By no means is this completely optimized as far as like my armor mitigation and whatnot. They can be higher, so those rolls will reflect that on my each individual gear piece. But let's start with the weapons. Okay, first is an MP5ST, 15.6k damage with deadly, unforgiving, and responsive. In the magazine, I have crit chance, crit damage, and magazine size. You can swap out, the crit damage possibly for rate of fire, but I have potato aim, so therefore, I know as far as firepower, you want rate of fire because you hit more shots. But yeah, if you can't land those shots, then it's not going to make a bit of difference how fast the weapon fires. So therefore, this has been right up my alley. So, but usually I do have rate of fire on my magazine, but in this case, I am not using one. I just got crit chance, crit damage, magazine size, optics. If my thing will stop going up and down, because I'm probably making you dizzy. I know I'm making myself seasick trying to read as it's bobbing up and down. In the larger optics, I have crit damage, accuracy, and crit hit chance. And in the small muzzle, crit damage, crit hit chance, headshot damage. And in the grip, I have crit hit damage, reload speed, and stability. On my secondary is just a Vector 45 ACP. Basically, anything on a secondary, whether it be an assault rifle or SMG or shotgun that has a predatory, then it'll work out quite nicely, because if there's NPCs around and you're engaged in a battle, then it will help you out when in a jam, especially if you're out of medkits. So it has self-preserved, deadly, and predatory, which is killing a target regenerates 35% of health over 20 seconds. Has magazine size, crit hit chance, rate of fire, crit hit damage, optimal range, and crit hit chance. And the suppressor, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, and stability. And the reason why I went with crit hit chance instead of crit hit damage is because this also has self-preserved on it, which states critical hits with this weapon heal the user for 3% of damage dealt. Now let's hop right in the gear. As you can see, I'm at 9k stamina, in which that unlocks the bonus down here. And I'm pretty sure that you know what it says. You can read it for yourself, and I ain't going to read the whole paragraph and take too much of your time. But it says basically the duration of your buff is increased by 2 seconds for every 3,000 stamina the player has. Physical damage and armor is increased by 30%. Exotic damage, weapon damage is increased by 30% when at 9,000 stamina. Ballistic shield health is increased by 200%. So therefore, I have the requirements of 9k stamina, and that puts my toughness at 597.9k. And then my rolls on this particular piece is on health, and then my major attributes is health, all resist, and then my minors, I would rather, since I'm running 2 SMGs, I would much rather have more ammo capacity, but this is practically the only chest piece that I've come across thus far. I wish the armor values was higher. And I'm pretty sure eventually, or those who are out there have a chest piece that's in better condition than mine is, but it works perfectly, and I'll have gameplay for that at the end of this video. And then in my mod slots, I have stamina with skill power and another stamina with skill power. Moving on to the mask. 996 armor, decent armor roll, high in stamina. Major attributes is the skill power. You can substitute this skill power for crit chance if you wanted to, but it's a 4% crit chance versus 9600 skill power, and without that, that puts me around 120. And if you choose to run it that way, it would be all right. It all depends on if you know how to actually play with a D3FNC. Even though your mechanics are a little clunkier and you can't move around as fast, but there are ways that when they try to rush and run behind you, that you can drop your shield, make a quick little turn, and get right back behind them. It's just a matter of how you play. But I chose to go with skill power because that also affects the heals, such as overdose, because if you're at full health and they're wearing down your shield health, anything over your overheal will replenish your shield health. So that is why I chose to have a little more extra skill power than just your standard, because a lot of people I see only run like 120k skill power, or they will have everything rolled into stamina and then one for electronics. But in this case, I have every gear piece rolled to stamina and one firearms. And just like in my mod slot here, it's stamina with health. Now, I couldn't find an actual stamina with more skill power, so I went with the next best thing, and I went with the additional health. Because I like to be a little tanky. I mean, you can play it a little bit less. You don't necessarily have to have health. This is just, in my opinion, the best way for me to have everything rolled and run. But moving on to the knee pads, 1578 in armor. As you can see, it's not optimized completely like I stated before, but it has good stamina, and once again, the major attributes: skill power, damage to elites, burn resistance, and bleed resistance, which helps out with those predators mark and also those pesky flame turrets. And in my mod slot, I have stamina and health and a first aid self heal. Moving on to the backpack. 1253 in armor. Once again, it's not optimized. Major attributes, once again, skill power, and the minor is ammo capacity. And in its mod slot, if I can get it to stay still, sorry about that, apologies, is stamina and health with 2 first aid self heals. Moving on to the gloves. This is where I wish instead of skill haste I had crit hit damage. But this is the best pair of gloves I came across so far. As you can see, my main stat is 1401. The armor is 925. I believe once I optimize it a couple more times, that'll push it closer to around 950, 960, which will help out in the long run, or until I can find better pieces than what I currently have. But as I said, since you're using an SMG, you'd prefer crit hit chance, crit hit damage, and SMG damage. I think this had like LMG damage and not skill haste, but pistol damage on it. So therefore, I had to basically roll those two things to even get close to the desired effect that I wanted, which is SMG damage and crit hit chance. So you make the best of what you have. Then my holster, 901 armor, once again low on the armor, and also it's not optimized, and the main stats is 1396, 1398, and 1399, and the major attribute is health. And then the mod slot, first aid self heal. Now if you want to go over the character sheet, as you can see, 37.5% crit chance, 97% crit damage, 56% headshot damage, and 2% accuracy, and 2% stability, which really doesn't make no difference. And then the reload time, I got that little bit of reload speed, which helps out. 12% SMG damage, 14% damage to elites, 9% skill haste. That little bit of skill haste that I have, like I said, I wish that was crit damage instead, but we'll take what we can get. Armor mitigation is really low. I'd prefer it to be anywhere between 33 to 35. That would help out tremendously, and eventually I'll get there as I get better pieces. But this is a fun build to play. 30% protection from elites, I did have exotic damage resilience on it, but I've been hit with multiple stickies in the dark zone, and they really don't, take much health from me at all. And then, with my secondary, I'll just kill one NPC and I'm good to go. Or, just hit my booster or overdose, whichever you prefer, or a med kit, and I'm good to go. Bad thing is, it does, knock out your shield. But there are tricks to get around that. Blind death resistance and burn resistance. A little bit of disorient resistance and disrupt and shock resistance, which is, people are still using those pesky shock turrets in the DZ. And as you can see, we'll go over to the health of my shield. It's at 2.35 million in health with a 27.9 second cooldown. And that's what I choose to run, is the overdose versus the booster shot, just for the extra benefit in the healing. Because you go from 129 to a measly 77. So that little extra help that I get to help heal my shield is better for me. But if you prefer booster shot, by all means go for it. I think this is about the minimum skill power, in my opinion, that you should have. And any less than that, then that's just going to cost you in health to your ballistic shield. And when you have, 3 or 4 people focusing you, especially if you're solo, it's a fun, to troll people while going solo. But if you get surrounded, then it's pretty much lights over. Even if you back yourself into a corner, there's still ways they can hit you, and, with certain grenades and everything else, flame turrets, and eventually you're going to go down. But in group play is when it's best utilized, because that way you can take the focus off some teammates, so that way they can focus down somebody else, while you peg away with them. And since I do have at least 4K firearms, I am doing some damage, especially, after I get all my buffs and whatnot. So this is a really fun build, and if you, like I said, if you have a reclaimer on your team, then it's pretty beastly in the DZ, and it's just overall fun. I mean, all you see is basically Pred and Nomad, 80% wise in the dark zone, so it's good to mix it up and see something different in there. I slowly see skill builds coming back. That's interesting. I prefer a little more diversity, especially in group play, because if you have, 4 Preds or 2 Nomads and 2 Preds, like majority of it is, or all Preds or all Nomads, eventually you're still going to need, a healer or whatnot. So a group play is best utilized and more taken advantage of when there's a diverse group, when you have something to counter each individual thing, and also it helps better your team play. With great communication, you can pretty much dominate the DZ with a good healer, at least 2 DPS, and like a Firecrest or a D3FNC, just to help, with the aggro and whatnot. And basically you can take this build in solo, just about any challenging mission like Lexington, you can go through it, no problem at all, solo. So if you have no friends on, don't feel like matchmaking with people with no mics, then you can just rock this build and go through Lexington and farm by yourself. Yes, it's going to take a little bit longer, but you don't have to worry about people not having mics, and it's pretty fun all the way around. But that's my build. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like I said, this is just, in my opinion, what I find is best for the D3FNC, and there's a little bit of gameplay at the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the welcome backs and the get well soons from my surgery this past April. But yes, I am back, so don't forget to hit that notification bell, ground and pound that like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. And thank you guys so much. Thank you for all your love and support, and we'll see you guys fudging later.
He was dead. And they would have 3 stacks, he was dead. 1590, shots. There you go. You go, boy.
What you doing on the ground, bro?
What's up, bro?